Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and I'm with my good friend and co-host
hurricaneh,
and
in the
together
house.
we make up the fantastic duo of
Double Impact. Oh, we made that one good. All right. So we are live actually on Facebook,
We're
Twitch,
live.
YouTube.
Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Yes,
I know
sir.
many of the banks, well, they are closed. Some banks were open, but the Federal Reserve was just, turned off today. And a lot of businesses were just kind of just not operating. No mail, no postage. And just to let you know, postage is going up, everyone. Postage is going up.
Oh.
Postage rate is going up. UPS went up just last year. I can't believe it's going up again. Can you?
No, I can't believe. Well, it's been going up. Everything's gone up. So, I mean.
So just to let you know, just so I can make you celebrate it, on January 22nd, 2023, the new rates take effect. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't go up a penny. Do you know how much it's going to go up? You all sitting down for this? A first class forever stamp is 60 cents right now. That stamp is going to go up 3 cents. 63 cents for a forever stamp.
Okay.
Pretty soon I might pay to get in the car and just drive there. Not yet, though. Not yet.
Well, I mean, the gas is probably going to be a lot more, so you're just going to have to wash it out, right? So,
well, the tolls are going up too at 20%. They're supposed to be going up 22%. Supposed to be going up New York, New Jersey tolls very, very soon, they're saying.
I mean, this is not inflation. This is just too much.
COVID excuse.
Well, it's making up for lost time, right? Lost money, lost income, all the good stuff. So, unfortunately,
I know I had a vendor we do business with all the time, and so just to let you know first, but I want to let you know, the toll plaza from 97 cents, okay, to $1. Okay, that is what we're looking at. 97 cents to $1, and the dollar is going to $1.05. And 565 is going up to 585 in the peak periods. Now they're going to change prices depending on when you travel. I think that's just nuts.
Well, people are watching right now or listening. I mean, this is a topic that everybody's probably feeling somewhere, anywhere in the States, or I guess all around the world. But the question is, I mean, are they getting more money? That's a question. I don't think that's the case. So what's being done about it?
It's crazy. And I know one of our vendors that we do a lot of business with that's publicly traded, they went up 48%, HH.
40% what? In terms of cost?
My profit price went up 48%.
All right.
And they're saying that should dictate to a big increase. But I said, you can't keep raising prices like this every year, guys. No. It's all because of COVID, and we had issues in shipping. And really? Seriously?
Yeah. Well, listen, 2 years been, a tough on everybody. But I think this is the let's make it up year. So I think
So brace
everybody's
yourself, everyone. They're
just,
saying that,
milking it
like
to
I
the
said,
max.
so it's going up the third year in a row, and it's actually going up. Well, I still think it's high. It's going up 3%, but that's still a lot.
1% is a lot. 3%, 2% is a lot. I mean, it's
I mean,
the thing is
every
you're
year.
not
I mean,
getting
they're
three
going to get
percent on your
excuses like
salary.
the stamp is going up 3 cents. Okay. We dealt with a penny every
Mhm.
2 or 3 years. Now we're going up 3 cents in a year. So does that mean that we're not going to go up for 3 years? No, they're going to try to give us some BS and go up 3 cents or 4 cents because they're going to say that there's something went happen or they can't get some carburetor or some part or because they didn't have the right supplies. Then now they got to go up to 5 cents next year.
Well, now we have to go to digital stuff. Everything is online. You can email stuff. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
I
we
mean,
got to get one of those.
we went to digital books over a year ago, and we charge people now $2 for an invoice, and we charge you $2 for a statement. And if there is a second page on your statement, it's an additional dollar, so it's $3.
Well, listen, John. You go to eat now everywhere, right? There's a surcharge for credit card use, right? 4%, 5% depends where you go. I mean, everywhere now is there's a surcharge. It's not even like $1, $2. It's like 10%, 18%, 15%, or some
And
of the
they
stuff.
post a letter by the register. We are only charging you the extra, which is such BS.
Listen, in the old days, that was the cost of doing business. You always had a charge on your credit card. I mean, there's always a percentage that you pay to the terminal
Sure,
that is just.
I agree. I'm not disputing that. But I
No, I'm
think they're
saying.
really taking advantage now. They're taking us to the cleaners. In other
Well,
words.
I can tell you if people start doing the math and getting maybe more, I guess, hard on this thing, I guarantee you they can discover that some of this is bullshit because if they are paying, but again, I mean, you're a patron to some place. That's what their policy is. That's the policy. They just give you that cost. It's like you want to deliver food to your home. We are just charging you for the delivery and the surcharge, blah blah blah. Everywhere surcharges now. It's like I'm telling you, it's makeup time. So you got to catch up
But
on
I
on,
don't
on
hear it
2 years
next
of
year.
loss.
I don't want to hear in 2024 that, oh, we got to make it up because we know. Because 2023 is going to be a great year. It's already starting to be an amazing year. All
Well, it
right.
is.
So,
It is.
but
Listen, it's a new year, and we embrace it. We want it to be super, right?
absolutely. So, as kicking off the new year, and again, happy belated new year for any of you guys didn't know, we're in 2023. So, if the bank's returning your checks, it's probably because you wrote 2022 on them. No,
I'm
I'm so
sorry,
sorry.
that's funny.
No, they'll still cash your check as long as it's signed. It has a name on it. I think they'll still cash it. You can't put like 2024. That won't cash.
Wow. Yeah, listen.
But
Someone did this week. Somebody made a comment about that. No, I don't think people are using a lot of checks these days. So, but there are people still do. So,
yeah, I can imagine that. And now with ACH and things like that. But getting into our new year, have you ever? I'm sure people have done this. You ever called a company? Could be Amazon, could be FedEx, could be Target, could be UPS, um, could be anywhere. And you call them and you have a problem with your order. Does it ever happen to somebody? Okay. So you have a problem because you didn't get your order. And now they tell you that they're going to help you. And they always start out like this, HH. And this, you're already sunk. Can you verify your name? My name? My name. I just said my name. No, can you verify it again? I just told you twice my name. Okay, and you have a number? Oh, what number? Like a number you can give me? I can give you a lot of numbers. 10, 12, 15, 100, a million. What kind of number you want? That's not the number. You said you want a number. I'll give you a number. How about 5 zillion? No, no, no,
uh,
no. The number like on the account. What do you want? My phone number? I don't know. I can try. And so they put the number in, they verify. Can I speak to a U.S. representative, please? Get to a U.S. representative, like, and they're going to check on this one. They're going to check on it for you. And they say that the package was delivered. Well, I didn't get it. I see. Okay, I'd be happy to look into this one for you. It's always this one, this one. Why aren't you just happy to look into it? There is no one. Just look into the damn thing. Just look into it. I don't want a one, okay? That tells me you probably have lots of problems if you're going to look into one. And so what usually happens is the person tells you they're going to help you. And sometimes they're going to call you back. But then you know what happens? They don't.
And they never do.
They drop the ball. You call them back? I called. I spoke to someone. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have a record that you called. Well, no one gave me a number. Okay, we're going to have to start from the beginning.
Oh, I had that last week. I was really pissed off, man.
And you try to be patient and kind, but it's like, it's crazy. And then, what they're doing is they're dropping the ball. Or this might happen in your company. Okay, maybe, and I'm very strict about this. So when a client's having an issue, they have challenges, whatever it is, and that person now takes the problem into their hands. And now they suddenly go to lunch or they go on vacation. Well, what happened to that customer's problem? Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, I was handling it while I was here. So what happens when you leave? Do you think it just magically gets assigned somewhere? Like, well, I figured someone else would handle it. Well, why are you dropping the ball? So people, are not being accountable for their actions. This happens in business. It happens personally. A friend says they're going to help you. And long and behold, oh, was that today? Oh, man. I got football game today. Or I got baseball today. Or I got something to do today. But it's just a made-up BS thing. Or I'm busy today. Really? What are you busy with? I'm not sure. But when I figure it out, I'll let you know. But you can't help me? No, I wish I could. So why do people do this? I mean, why don't they just take the accountability? Hey, I don't want to help you, or I'm busy today. So being accountable for your actions is important, not just in the terms of being legal and correct and proper, but making sure your client is satisfied. Now, you might say, John, well, this person's a pain in the neck. I know we had a client the other day. We were always very patient. And so he gave us a credit card, and the credit card was not validated. He assured the credit card was fine. We tried it again. Nothing happened. So we said, why don't we try it on our old system, right? Because the newer systems are a lot stricter. We go in, we stick the card in, and sure enough, it validates. His address didn't match on the profile. So our electronic system kind of flagged that. But when you have the physical card, it usually goes through. So people just don't take accountability. They're not perseverant to what's going on. I think it's because maybe people are tired. Maybe they expect more money? Or are they just, I don't know, not happy with their job? So you got accountability, you got perseverance, and then you got resilience. Because then you got the people like, oh, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to quit. You're going to quit? Yeah, I had enough. What do you mean? Or you know what? I'm out. What do you mean you're out? Like, we're not playing Uno. Like, what do you mean you're out? You didn't have a card in your hand. How could you be out? And, we laugh about it, but how do you run a business? How do you have a friendship? How do you have a life when somebody says, oof, I don't know. That's a problem. Or I don't know. Not my problem, buddy. I got to get going. Or you're all working together on something. It's 8:00. Oh man, look at the time. It's 8:00. I got to get going. I got a game to watch tonight. Well, I thought we were all going to work on the inventory. Yeah, no, I got to go. And so why is it that people are not accountable? Are they lazy? I think that could be it. Do they think that by not being accountable, that they're like above everyone? I think it just shows their disrespect and their unprofessionalism and the fact that I'd never want to do business with somebody like that again. That's a good strike one in my book toward getting fired. There's 3 strikes to getting fired. But that's a good strike one to, yeah, we're going to write that up and let's make sure you don't do that again. Because I think when people get permission or liberty to do something, they believe they can, do it anytime they want. And then it sends a message to the customers. Being resilient is probably one of the toughest things because the customer might wear you down. The other day, we said we're going to email him the receipts. Oh, can you print it? Well, can we email it to you? Oh, I don't know if I can get email on my phone. You don't know. And I said this myself. I'm saying to myself, he doesn't know if he can get email on his phone. You don't get email on the phone? Well, sometimes I don't get things. Can you just print it for me? Sure. Be happy to print it for you. And it's like, I don't want to say they're being difficult, but they don't even want to try to being in the new world, right? You got everything digital and they're still, I don't know, making invoices with, a stone and a rock.
All right, hold on. So, John, yeah, go ahead.
We laugh about it, but you got to kind of come up with the times. The best is when I go to one of these stores. I'm not going to name them, but I go to one of the stores and I was like, I'm looking for X. It's like, and okay, it's down there. Or they say to me, do me a favor. I'll mention the store because everybody knows this, Walmart. I don't go there that often. I'm looking for something. It's like, oh, sure. You see where we are now? I said, no. Could you just walk all the way down to gardening? Okay. When you get to gardening, make your first left. Okay. Take that all the way down to automotive.
I think I know what store that is.
And then go ahead and make your second right, and that'll get you into housewares. Is there a bus leaving for that station, or can you maybe escort me? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't leave my department. It's real simple. And they don't draw you a map. They tell it real quick. I mean, you work in this store. Then you go to a manager and it's like, can somebody help me? Oh, yeah, sure. We'll be happy to help you. Or you pick up that phone, right? Pick up that phone. Hello? Can you help me? Oh, what do you need? I'm trying to find whatever. And they're like, oh, it's right over there. Where? It's in C12. Well, you're certainly in B6. So you need to make a left, go all the way down. You see the C's. When you see the 12, make a right. Could somebody help me, please? Well, when you get to the C's, if you're still lost, just pick up the courtesy phone at C1, and then we can help you from C1. And I mean, I don't know. This is like the poorest excuse for customer or client service. And I don't want to shop there. I remember going to Home Depot and Lowe's. Now, you go to Home Depot and you ask them if they'll help you. Many years ago, they would. Now, you got to stand on a soapbox and beg someone to help you. Oh, we're a little short in our department. You're always short in your department. But if I go over to Lowe's, they magically have all these extra. Oh, I'll be happy to walk you over there. I know when I shop at BJ's, I have a question. Oh, sure. Let me help you find it. And they walk you right to, oh, here it is, sir. Any other question? Can I get anything else? And they hand it to you. I mean, that's service.
Well, John, so I know you've covered a lot, but the topic really is the kind of accountability and I'm watching right now, or at least they have the ability to actually chat with us. I mean, what's the take on accountability for everybody? I mean, you're watching, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to the workplace? What does that mean on the personal level of business, as we said earlier? But you just given some examples. People, they don't care. I mean, that's where the lack of accountability is. I'm not responsible. Like the responsibility is always somebody else's. I am not there. I want to make the money, but I don't want to put the time. I don't want to work. I really am bored. I don't like what I'm doing.
I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to do anything that's going to inconvenience me. If you're not going to hand it to me, then I'll just stay home and I'll just keep eating hot dogs.
But again, I mean, it is a big problem. I think one of the core elements that we should all strive for is that we need to reach that level of accountability. Well, first of all, we don't always put the buck on somebody else's court and or the bull on the other side of the court, because that's what people do. It's like it's their fault, it's them. Everybody's responsible but you. That's the biggest part. And then
Exactly. It's not
and we
my
don't want to
problem.
do anything.
I didn't put it away.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't do it,
I wasn't
and
the
some,
original salesperson. You have to talk to Glenda. She's off today.
yeah, it's just a different mindset, when you're talking about accountability. It's just people are either not interested to doing more, or they just don't want to take any responsibility, and they just want to blame
Right?
everybody in their world why whatever shit is happening in their life, right? And what our work. And
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest, element that we have to maybe. Well, I can help it today. I mean, I do actually can swear by a book that actually does teach some real concepts on accountability, and it helps people see a different light in terms of that, whether it's a business or life. I mean, it's called the Oz Principle, and was introduced to it a few years back. I don't know if you've read that book, but it's like the Oz, the
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, but the same concept. But the idea is that they have a concept which is called above the line. So here's a line, instead of us always like looking under the line and look, and just beating on everybody else and blaming everyone in the world for our nightmare. You just rise up over that line, right? And it becomes, more of a different level for you. And what the main concept is, like, if you see something, you have to own it and just do it and solve it. I mean, do it, solve it, and do it. That's the concept. So it's not about, well, okay, so shit happens. It didn't happen. Okay. Now, do we want to blame the world? Do we want to blame everybody, or do we want to just move on and do better? And I think that's the problem. If people rise up over that line, or then things will be different. But we don't. And the reason we don't is because we don't want to do more. And it's a lot easier for me to find why somebody else had to do it, as opposed to, like, coming up and say, well, that was me. As a matter of fact, I just did a show, and it's going to air tonight. And we talked about that kind of thing, where, like, we always think that the other people are responsible, but not us.
Absolutely.
But if there's a conflict, no matter what it is, if there's any situation and you're mixing it, you have a part in it. So you have to own that. And owning is actually the part that we really fear, or we don't care about, because that's like, no, I'm perfect. And by the way, newsflash, no one is perfect. We all think that we are, but we're not. And we can evolve to a degree, but not to level of perfection, because there's such thing as perfection. But we have ways to doing this. First, we respect everything, we respect everybody, and then we do our part. And we just have to be responsible. If you screw up, you say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's a boo-boo, whatever. Let me make it up. Let me do what else I can do to change and make the difference. We have that in customer service and sales all the time. You do something, things do go wrong. I mean, you want to solve the problem. People call customer service because they have an issue, not necessarily because they want to terminate the service, but they do terminate
Right.
the service.
They
If the
want a
service is not
resolution to the problem.
exactly. And if you don't resolve that problem, then yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna look at options. But at the end of the day, it is a matter of finding, the silver lining. You want to see something out there that you can do and make the difference. And I think that's when you become accountable. And literally, to me, it's responsibility. Own everything. And sometimes even if it's not your problem. So what's the big deal? You're involved in it. If you can make a difference, you can change things. Why not? We can all dwell and cry and, crisis mode and like, oh, what's going on? The world. And, or we can just say, like, all right, let's move on. Next, what's the next move for us? And do it. Take action. Things change. But that's a big deal. And I think a mistake that is some very common in personal life. So with relationships, we see it all the time. People divorce, people fight, people argue, family members, spouse, all the stuff. And then it's all about, like, the other one did, he was not, she was not, the kids did, the father did, and so on and so forth. My cousins, my brothers. You go to business, the boss did this, that, the other, and the other department did it, so on and so forth. Why? I think that's the biggest element in our work, because you understand accountability. I think you'll live happier, because you will know where you stand, you will know how to contribute, you will know how to
Absolutely.
even prevent things. Yeah.
But you know what? You know what's a real problem, HH? And it's from the millennial generation, and not to pick on them, but it has been coming from them. Um, I know a friend of mine. He basically probably about maybe 12, 14 years younger than me. And he graduated college, and he worked for a company, got whatever salary. And he has the mentality that he has to just keep leaving a company every 6 months. That's his mentality, pretty much, which I'm not too much in agreement with. And so he works there. Now he's starting at the bottom, right? Starts as like let's say a vice president, not a vice president, but let's say maybe an admin of finance, then more a liaison, then vice president, and then kind of risk and kind of moving up the levels. And so,
Oh, I think we
what's
covered
that?
that. We covered that one.
We did cover this.
Yeah. We talked about this whole thing with how that the personality, I would say.
Well, the
That
fact I
yeah.
think I told you the way that they always skip people's that they decide that they're just going to use people's and then not give them credit.
Well, see, again, I mean, I know we talked about it, but really, it's a pretty cool, analogy in this particular show today because that is accountability. And again, you don't want to take credit from people. Uh, that is bad.
That's what he
People
did. He
that
took credit. If the came to the master meeting and everything's great, it looks wonderful. Of course, what would you expect? I am a graduate from XYZ. Now, if it was lousy, be like, I apologize. I had one of the interesting interns start out and they didn't know what they were doing.
John, a true leader will never really take the credit. It's the credit. First of all, you're never any good to.
I think you have to share the credit. We might have lost you on audio here for a moment. Hopefully, HH will be back with us in just a moment or two. We're talking tonight about accountability and how accountability, is a vital part of your life. If you were to go around and let's say not have people that were accountable, nothing would get done. There'd be lots of frustration. We could be talking something as simple as stocking shelves, um, any kind of customer service, client services, right? And so when that happens, we have to take a step back and say, hey, what is it that I do in life? And when you say, what is it that I do? I think this can make a huge, huge difference. So, what is accountability? I mean, that's probably the best thing that I want to share with you. What is, accountability according to, let's say, like, Merriam-Webster, if you will. So, accountability, according to Merriam-Webster, is actually defined, and I quote, as the quality or state of being accountable, an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. So, what then is accountable? So, if we know that accountability is a noun, accountable is an adjective, subject to giving an account, answerable, capable of being explained, explainable. So, accountable is a pretty interesting word because we hear it tossed around. On sales teams, we hear it in management teams. Who's going to be accountable for this if such and such is not here? Or if this person is not here? Who? And if you're not accountable, then what's really going to happen? I think what happens when we're not accountable is people start to realize that things fall apart. Let's say that you bought, I don't know, an appliance at a retailer. They come and install it. And they tell you that they're going to come in and install it, and they do. And after they install it, there's a warranty. However, you have a problem, and it's a warranty with the company you purchased it from. And they are now trying to say that it's their responsibility to service it if the client didn't neglect or abuse the product. And you're telling them that you didn't abuse anything. You used it exactly as the manual stated, but they're arguing with you. So they're not being accountable to handle it. Another example is maybe you're supposed to plan for a meeting. Okay. And you're in charge of getting the food. Now, this other person that is there with you is working in team with you, and there's another person working. But now you suddenly leave. Okay. You don't tell anybody you've left. Now, no one is accountable for what's going on. Nobody knows what you ordered, what you didn't order. I mean, there's nothing going on. If you would have said, look, I'm not going to be here on Tuesday. This is all my information. I just want to make sure that if I'm not able to get here, you at least know where we are. And we, as a company, can be accountable to the client, because clients don't come back to companies that don't give them value, that don't give them accountability. I mean, it's like a non-discussion. They just don't do it. Why? I think it comes down to the fact that people don't quite get it. And the reason they don't get it is because they may not have the training or the understanding as to what's going to go on if something falls. So accountability is great, but it also is part of a contingency backup plan. So if somebody's there and all of a sudden the floor drops out, and I'm being, facetious here for a moment, it drops out. And when the floor drops out, just like HH had dropped out and he just kind of popped back in, we know that there's accountability for that. So I know that because that floor actually dropped out, somebody else has got to be accountable. Or let's say we've got a something as simple as maybe a band. And if I am the lead drummer in that band and I can't be there, well, I'm accountable to that band, and I'm going to make sure I get a replacement. Or if I'm playing tennis or I'm playing golf or whatever, and I'm on a foursome or whatever kind of team I'm on, if I don't take accountability, I'm going to let my team down. And potentially, we could lose the match. We could lose the round. And then that's going to tarnish my reputation. So when you're not accountable, you tarnish your reputation. And I could tell you this, friends and colleagues, you could work days, months, years to build a reputation. But do you know that by making that split-second choice that you don't want to be accountable, you'll destroy your reputation with that client. And now that client's like, what gives? What happened? Well, Jim took off and he didn't tell us. And so technically, if I'm running the project, and even though Jim's accountable to us, I should have backup that I could pull another person in so that our client doesn't need to know that Jim isn't here. I think at the end of the day, HH and everyone else, we just care that we get the task done. And if we can't get the task done, then we're not accountable. How about being accountable to ourselves? Maybe you like to eat sweets, okay? Many of you guys know I went from 250 down to like 177. I'm accountable to myself for what I put in my mouth. If you're telling me, hey, and this gets into health, if I can't control what I put in my mouth, then I'm not accountable. And if I can't be accountable, how can I make sure that I have a great, healthy life? Make sense, HH?
Well, you dropped a couple of times. I dropped a couple of times off this on my side, so I missed a little bit. But again, you're right. I mean, to me personally, accountability is a big factor in my life, and I apply it to a degree, where I try to be as accountable as I can be, and I don't put the blame on others. I own what's mine, and good and bad. I try to do as much good as possible. But again, we make mistakes, and you have to own to them, and that's about it. And you work, you give your best. If you can't do any more, then you know when to walk out, and that's it. And for whether you have staff or whatever the case may be, you work with your team, and you don't always like, well, what's going on? Why it's wrong? Why this? Why that? I mean, that's what some people actually do in leadership roles, and I don't call them leaders, I call them just bosses, and that's a whole different topic we can talk about. But that's what it is. They just basically try to find who is to blame, whose heads are going to roll,
But
who's going to be.
you bring a good point, HH. Is if we take away the title boss and manager, which I'm not crazy about those titles. I like the idea as I'm your team leader. I am the ship leader. And so as a leader, my goal is to get you to do things because you want to do them, not because I want to do them. So I want to lead from within, not coaxing with a whip. There's two ways to lead management. So the weird boss and manager, nobody wants to be managed. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. But people want to play on a team all day. And I love having people that want to play on my team. And I would say, if you don't want to play on the team, then maybe you shouldn't be on the team.
Well, you want the people to play on the team, right? I mean, if you have a
Right.
business, you want everybody to be eager to play on the team. But you're not going to get them to do that if you don't empower them and give them, like to your point, you keep micromanaging. You like what you're doing, what's going on every 2 minutes. I mean, nobody wants somebody's breathing on the neck. I mean, it doesn't work that way. And
Nope.
unfortunately, there are people like that, and it's usually comes in with the least experience, people who have a management role type, and because it's the power trip, I'm the boss.
It comes from control. It comes from
Yeah.
control. People believe that they, and I said this in one of my shows just this past week, that most people believe that in order to have control, you need to crack the whip. You need to be on top of everybody. But actually, it's the direct opposite. If you loosen the leash a little bit and let people run after they know the expectations that they are supposed to deliver, you're going to find that people are going to be more willing to do things. There's a lot of times when I know somebody has the understanding, I'm like, okay, I'll give you creative license on this, or I'll give you free license to do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't go against our company values, our principles, and it's going to be the best for all concerned. And a lot of you like that, but then there's some people that can't handle that.
Well, I mean, ultimately, you got to put some parameters in place, but the idea is, to your point, it's really the opposite of like you to be in control. You don't have to be literally in front and pull in, and to your point, like with somebody's like doing the least thing.
Nope.
You want to get the buy-in from the team, from your family members, whoever that you work, your friends sometimes, even if you're going on a trip, doesn't matter. And then everybody is buying to the concept. They will do it, and then if they respect you, they'll do it, gladly, and you don't even have to ask. You don't have to, and then when you give people the feeling that they actually are in charge also, and that they have the ability to do it, and you actually acknowledge that and give them their due respect, then they'll do more. If you treat them like they're not worthy, they don't know their stuff, and well, why would you hire them? Why would you even be involved with them, right? If it's family or whatever, or friends. So it's the matter of like, there's a trust factor that has to be in place. And yeah, there are goals, there's targets, there's visions, missions, and all this stuff. But once everybody is on board, like again, everybody's got to be on the train, and in a train you can sleep, you can be walking, you can be in a bathroom, you can be in a cafeteria, right? But the idea is still going at the same speed. You're already in the train and you're moving with so everybody has different paces. That's the other thing, understanding everybody's levels.
They got to work. They got to work in concert with each other.
Exactly.
But you get somebody, and this happens a lot with interns. You get somebody, and you've explained to them what they're supposed to do, but they're still not taking it seriously. So people ask me this all the time. How do you handle that? And so the way I handle that is, you don't yell at them. You don't scream at them and say, look, this is what was supposed to be done. This was the deadline supposed to happen. Is there anything I can do to give you some more support, or the team, so that you'll be able to get the task done on time? No, I can do it. And then generally what happens is they're usually very good. But if I see on a pattern where they've done that 2 more times, I'm like, I know you really love doing this, and I know you love working for us. And the team and I think it's best that we change your role. I think you'd be more suitable in this position because there are a lot of things that we figure that you still need to learn. And we want you to grow with the company and not be stressed by what you need to do. So that's what we'd like to do. So we'd like to change your position. I don't want you to think of it as a demotion. I want you to think of it just as a movement to another area. And there's other potential in that department that you could potentially become even bigger than you would have been in this department. It's just going to be different, a different flavor. And if they come back and say, oh, no, I don't want that. Well, if you don't want that, then there may not be a place here for you to work, in all due respect.
Well,
and then they kind of change their drill, like, oh, so am I being fired? Well, we're not saying be fired. We're just saying we don't have any room for you right now. So we might have to just temporarily suspend you until we can find a position for you.
well, so from a leadership perspective, right? I mean, I think it's always important to know what talent do you have and place them in the right space, because sometimes we put people in the wrong place as leaders, right?
Absolutely. You can't put a creative person in a space if they don't know how to be creative, or you can't put a people person in a place with people, like a front end customer position, and they should be a stock person.
Well, and again, you can't put someone that actually just deals with machines and computers and tech,
with people. You can't do that.
It's not going to work. So again, understanding the personalities, understanding what their talents, what their capabilities, you can get a lot more, and they will actually appreciate more. Therefore, they can do more. And then, but let's reverse that, because I think we're talking about it from a leadership perspective, because that's what we've been doing. But we have also worked for people. At least I did, and I can tell you, you do have expectation from your leaders all the time. And,
absolutely.
And I can tell you, not everyone that I report to really personally deserve where they were, but or even were capable of what the role that they were. And I've seen it at people that I didn't report to that were in positions where they didn't belong, and unfortunately that happens all the time. So not everybody is where they are, and sometimes
that's corporate politics.
Yeah, they stumble into a role, and then for whatever reason they're there. And to your point, they start using the whip, and if you disagree with them, you're out, or they go vendetta on you. And so those are the things that you see. But that's not being accountable. That actually being, totally inefficient. A good leader will listen to the audience, will listen to people telling him off.
Absolutely.
If I am standing here and I'm not able to see it, maybe someone can get me straight, and I will accept that. Because I don't know everything, and again, I know why I am leading this team, whatever the case may be, and I have some expertise, But there's always something I can learn. And the reason I have a team is that they're the ones who kind of do the work. That's the other thing. A lot of folks, they do the work day to day. They know more than what I do. I mean, I may know the ops, I might know the back end, but they know. They're in the trenches every day. It's like soldiers fighting every day to fight. We're never going to know what that goes like when you're actually inside, the trenches with the bullets flying around your head, right? I mean, soldiers up front in the front line, we never can experience that unless we actually spend some time with them, which if we did, we'll be like, oh my God, this is not something I can be doing, right? But a lot of people are making decisions behind the scenes, and they assume that's how it looks like or it should look like, but they've never even been in that. Like, for example, in sales, right? You get people that sometimes either lead sales or talk about sales, but they have never experienced sales. They have never been in front of a customer or a prospect. And then they can judge. And so how can you do that if you don't know that? Right, but so from a staff perspective, if you are the leader, you want to make sure that you're accountable for your team, in another way, and meaning that you are also there for them, and you have to allow them to have the ability to actually raise, and rise whatever, issues that they might have with you, if that's the case, or with the process. If maybe you tell them, we want to do this, and that means that we're going to lose, and someone says like, well, no, and a good leader will actually listen. So how can we do this? What ideas do we have on the table? Let's put it on the wall. Let's put it on the board. Let's figure out which ones. Let's prioritize. And you work. Now that's a team that's accountable. Everybody's responsible correctly. Everybody's seeing it, owning it, and doing it. And
they're all going to be part of it. My favorite one is when you have a group of all these people, and they all have amazing ideas, but the idea that we're talking about, let's say, has nothing to do with the project we're on. Like, well, what about the paint? Glenda, that's a great idea. Can we parking lot that? And we'll come back to it later. What's a parking lot? Oh, it's a free place that we put ideas that we'll get to later, but we promise to get to them. Oh.
What?
And I think people that are in that, this is why I'm not crazy about the Zoom meetings, because you don't get to see the body language the same way. You don't get to communicate the same way as you do in person. Yes, you can move back and forth, but it's not the same. It's not exactly the same. So I think the reason that people are not accountable today is one reason I don't think people have learned to be accountable. Some people have gotten into jobs, but they don't teach accountability in school. This is why I love things like Scouts and things like other types of project. It could be Peace Corps, it could be Army, it could be a variety of things, volunteer. You learn these things not from books. Harvard, Yale, Fordham, they don't teach you these things. What they teach you in school is how to learn, but not what you necessarily need to learn to be successful. You're like, well, why am I going to college? You're learning how to learn a language or learn a skill. And then you could learn anything. Well, why don't they just teach you what I need? Well, they can't, because the world is so diverse that you'd have to go to school for like 20 years. So I think a lot of people get upset because they don't know something, but college was never meant to teach you everything. It was meant to give you, if you ever go to a chocolate shop, it was meant to give you an assortment of different truffles and chocolates and pastries that you can just sample. A bite of each. And so I think that's a lot how life is that, we are accountable because we know that when we're accountable, we get a return on our investment. If it's a case of customer service, we know that we get a satisfied client. We know that. It's the new people coming into the market that don't believe accountability. They think accountability is overrated. And so what happens, as we said before, is some of the millennials coming in, they kind of contaminate the pot. Oh yeah, you don't want to be accountable. Just do the minimum and let someone else handle it. And you know what the people do? They're like, oh yeah, well, he's here longer than me. I should obviously follow him. He's much more senior than I am, or he has more experience. Just because you're there more and you're supposed to have more experience, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't mean you really do have the experience. It's like if I told you to go out and try to find 50 prospects. Just because you put in 8 hours a day for 5 days doesn't mean you actually did the work, the correct work. You may think you did. You got tired. You came home 8 hours, but you weren't talking to people that need, want, and can afford the product or services you're offering. And I think that's the problem with a lot of salespeople. They go out there and they're like, but I did the work. Yeah, okay, you want a cookie? I mean, what do you want? I was like, it didn't do anything.
Well,
yeah, but
go ahead. No, I love what you said, and the example where someone is new and they learn in and they see that somebody else is doing it, it's like, okay, but you don't know if that person also is really doing the right thing. So you don't want to learn the wrong things, one, and two. You touch on something that's important, which is school will give formal education is important, and it's going to give you the fundamentals, the basics, the elements that will actually build everything else. But if you rely only on that, the real world is going to suck for you, because unfortunately, when you can go to all the colleges you want and as much as you prep, when you go to real business, you're going to see it differently. It's going to be like, what the hell's all of this? How that's not what I thought it's going to look like. But that's because that's why also not a lot of jobs will not even hire someone off the bat to a role unless they have some experience. And again, it's hard to find the experience without getting hired in the first place. So it's an ironic state there. But the idea, it's important to supplement by
I agree. That's why internships are very good. But the problem is when somebody gets that degree, they think they're a master at it. And when you put them in their space, oh, I never did in person. I just read about it in the book.
Well, theory.
You just
and
read
practice.
about it.
Well, a good example. I mean, a great example would be doctors, right? I mean, your year one anatomy. Guess what? You're dissecting bodies. you're not reading about bodies in the books. You're actually literally opening up some real humans. It's as sad as it sounds, but that's what they do, and so they get in the mix. And then even with that, I mean, you get past all that stage of education, and you still got to go into the stage of practice in a hospital, in a setting, and then even when you go to private practice, you're not as good in year one than you will be in year 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. And that's just what it is. A great example that I have always applied that I started a long time ago is in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
In some arts actually there is white belt and black belt. There's not even like different colors in especially like in some of the kung fu systems.
Yeah.
And so why? Because in essence, all that stage before the black belt, you're basically just learning the fundamentals. When you actually get that black belt level, that's when you actually start. And when you become on the black belt level, you basically still are not as an expert. The advancement comes over time in that rate, right? And same thing, like if let's say you're a white belt, just brand new, right? You get a yellow belt, great. Are you really a yellow belt, or you just turn a yellow belt? You're not really. It's like when you start, a year in college, you're not finishing the college year. You're actually at the beginning of the year, so you need time to get through the system. And the same thing at work. You get on the stage, you got to build through it to get to the next level and learn. But the difference, what makes you more, better at what you do, is learning faster and putting things on the side that will give you some additional knowledge. Learning. I mean, right now we live in the era of Google and and a network of knowledge that's available. Everywhere we go, you can literally click and search and learn and do this. I mean, YouTube, Google. I mean, those areas. I mean, there's so much stuff available there that can teach stuff in addition to your formal stuff. So you can add. You want languages. You want basic skills. You want to know how to do plumbing. You're not a plumber. You want to fix something up. You can probably do if you learn. But again,
to learn in the way of the world for, let's say, in the new millennium now, is to basically learn by the way we learned languages, which is to learn by immersion. Most people don't know this, but if whatever language you were growing up in, English, Spanish, whatever, French, Italian, you learn by immersion. Your family, your friends were around. So when you're in it, when you're submerged in it, that's why when I tell people about success, to learn to be successful, you need to be immersed in success. If you're not there yet, hang around successful people. Get sick of them. Get sick of what they do. Learn, study, ask questions.
Well, that's a powerful point right there, because I think it's pretty clear. Like if you talk to successful people, millionaires, billionaires, or anybody that is in a position of authority or experience in life and in business, they'll tell you, whoever surrounds you and whoever you surround yourself with will determine how well you're going to be in life. So if you surround yourself with everybody that is optimistic, positive, entrepreneur, and blah 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 blah, you're going to learn those skills. If you are surrounded with people that just don't care, well, that's how you're going to be. You're just not going to care. That's not going to. I'm not saying that these people are bad or good, because the bad has nothing to do with it. But I'm saying it's just the behavior of your entourage is going to become contagious with you, and you're going to take some of those attributes and apply them in how you do. If everybody around you is relaxed, you're going to be relaxed. Everybody is tense and moving fast. You have no choice but catching up with them, or you're going to be left behind. So that's what's going to change things. So again, the ability to know where you want to be in life, and then you determine what that is going to look like for you. So whatever you set yourself, in terms of systems in place, have to do with how do I want to get, to the next level. If I want to be really, a director or VP, or I want to be a business person and run my own corporation, well, I need to surround myself, around some people that have been in the business or own businesses and know what it is. They can give you, you're never going to lose with them because you're going to learn tricks, right? And those tricks you're going to apply. But if you want to be in business, but you have never met a business person and you haven't, you don't even know how it goes, to start a business and process, you're not going to do. Now, you can, again, go to Google and stuff and learn, which is now available because a lot of people, whether through podcasts or through, different things, people are doing this. They're sharing the wisdom and the knowledge. But there was a time in life where we didn't have that. You really have to be with people to actually learn things. And you had the apprenticeships and the internships and those things are in place for those practices, so you can actually take it on the road, as opposed to like it's like I could read about flying a plane, but if I never put my hands behind a plane, cockpit, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to be like, what the hell? These buttons look good, but I have no idea what to start, right? But if you actually, taking the class, you're going to do it. Same thing driving. We all can see driving. We all, when we were kids, we all played, some games that had some sort of, wheel and kind of maybe go-karts, right? But go-karts are not real cars. You take it on the road, it's different. But these are just analogies.
It's a lot different. Just like, you go play golf in a video game, and then you go play it in real life. Oh, gee, the club feels funny. It feels different.
Uh-huh. Well, because it's a real club. This is not an air thing that you just like, swing your hands. This is the real thing. There is forces, gravity, there's wind, there's all the stuff that it's actually like, that's not going to be given to you. You're not going to sense that if you did it, in virtual world. So, but those are the things. Like, again, it is one thing to from punching, right? You have these games now in devices, you can punch the air. That's one thing, but punching something or getting punched is a whole different story. But again, life is just like that. So you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable. You have to actually put yourself in a position where you can learn what's necessary so you can do more and be better. And again, that's if you're really feeling the accountability. If you feel like, I don't care about anything, I don't want to do anything, again, that is your prerogative, and that's okay. The results are going to be determined based on what you put in. You put XYZ, you're going to get XYZ plus. you don't put anything else, that's it. I mean, you whatever you use in the mix, that's what you're going to get out of, at the end of the product. So simple concepts. We've probably heard these things over and over. Sometimes we sound redundant, but believe it or not, this stuff, you need to hear it over and over and over, because it's got to keep coming in, and you have to keep, being, outside of the mind concept. This is actually the idea, is we want it to be in your side, on your side, in front of you, in and out. You see it, you hear it day in, day out. And the more you hear about it, the more you're going to get better at things. That's all. So, John, what do you think?
I agree. I think people in life, they look for these shortcuts, and they say, oh, gee, I want the Cliff Notes. But you and I both know that when you read the Cliff Notes, you don't get the meat about the book. You just get some basic information. And so if you were in grammar school and you read the Cliff Notes, fine. But you get into high school or AP and you start reading the Cliff Notes, well, you're going to fail the exam, because the book has a lot more granular detail that's not in the Cliff Notes. And the questions are always based about. So what was the protagonist character, Ryan, and how did he affect Macbeth? Huh? You guys read the Cliff Notes, didn't you? Well, and so, I think it's okay as a support, but it should not be replacing. I think a lot of people in life, they think something is a pro quote to replace something else, and it really isn't.
Well, it's like you can't build a house and just, use the shell without the structure, right? It's like you can't have partial pieces and build the house out of it. You need everything to actually be able to build a house together, right? And that includes the foundation, the beams, whatever you need to put up there, the walls, the studs, and so on and so forth. And if you're taking just the sheetrock itself, it's just going to be crumbling very quickly, and it's not going to be, sustainable. So again, and by the way, these things that we talk about, apply in business, in person, with family, with friends, with, your kids, if you have any, your parents, on the other side of the realm, with your bosses, or leaders, or the people that you report to. In life in general, it applies to everything. And again, if we hold ourselves accountable, we hold ourselves responsible, and we take the necessary steps to be as productive as possible to ourselves and to everybody that we contribute with, then we become good elements of society, and hopefully we can give. And also, as you give, you will thrive too, and you'll succeed, and then you'll move up. If you're looking at a career path, that's moving up the ladder. If you're looking into having a business, well, you're going to learn the skills and the ability to actually, and even maybe get into some investments and then other things that people can support you with. And now you have your dream, and you build those enterprises. I mean, you're talking literally to John. He has multiple businesses that he operates. And John, have you ever worked with somebody?
Have I ever what?
worked by anyone? I think you started, early on, running your own business.
Yeah. So when I was in college and I got out of college, the one business, J Moore, was just a part-time thing. And I worked for a government agency. And just a real quick story on this. I was working with them, but they weren't treating me very well. And they weren't paying me even a percentage of what I was really worth. But I just kept my mouth shut and I said, I want to learn and I want to, get going with this. And I knew it was temporary. And so they weren't treating me very well. They were abusing what I gave them. They weren't, they were trying to be like they knew everything when they knew nothing. And so that didn't really bother me, but how they were treating me bothered me. And so I was about literally, I'm going to tell you, maybe a month away from being vested, which is where you get your pension. All that. I was a month away from being vested. I was with them for about 2 or 3 years, and you had to be there 3 years. So I made a decision. It was right before my Thanksgiving vacation that I had enough. And I knew I was giving up the pension, but I didn't care. I walked into the office. I'll call the lady Mary. That wasn't her name. I knocked on her door and I said, "Hey, I just want to, do you have a minute?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Sure." And I said, "I just want to say thank you." She said, "Oh, you're welcome," for holding the door. I said, No. I said, "I want to say thank you for helping me become a better version of myself and helping you become a better version of yourself." And she's looking at me like really funny. I was like, "Because today, Mary, is my very last day. Goodbye." What? This isn't the place for me. You guys knew that when you hired me. This was never going to be permanent. And you guys have the way you want to do things. And it's time for me to move on to the part of my life where I can create things and people appreciate what I do. And I don't have to pretend that I don't know something. See, I don't want to live on pretend anymore. I want to live on truth. So at 4:00 today, when I leave, I will be gone. Went outside to one of the secretaries and told her we only have a little more time. I'm getting ready to leave. And she said, "Well, will you be here on Monday?" Because it was Thursday. It was like Wednesday before the Thursday. She's like, I said, "Won't be on Monday." She's like, "Oh, you always have a weird schedule. You don't come in every day. You're like wacky." I said, "No, I won't be in on Monday." I said, "How about Tuesday?" I said, "No, I won't be in on Tuesday." Tuesday, I won't be in either. "Well, when the heck are you coming in?" Well, you know what? I have to tell you. I'm not going to be with you anymore. "Oh, they fired you." "No, I quit."
People, it's amazing what you said there, because a lot of people don't realize that, just as people fire, someone or terminate the employee, because I have this firm belief that I've never worked for anybody. I've always worked for myself, and I still do. Even when you join a corporation or company, you still work for yourself. That you have to know that. You have to believe in that concept, because you work for you. You're number one. You work for your family. That's coming number one. And whatever company you work for, obviously they're going to give you a certain income, and you're going to exchange against that income. You're going to give them a service, and you're going to give them something against that money, right? But at the end of the day, you are still in charge. The way when I train people, in sales specifically, I tell them, this is like you own your own business, and the company is your financial institution. They basically provide the ops. They provide you the marketing, the dollars, the funding, the overhead, everything that you need. You just got to operate, and you become, you're just running your business, and that's exactly what it is. So, if you work in a company and it's not working, don't drive yourself nuts. It's just not going to work. You're going to get a point. Whether they fire you or you leave, it's semantics. Whoever's going to leave first is just going to be, or whoever's going to pull the trigger, I would say, or pull the cable on that, or the wire, or whatever the expression goes. The idea is, when it's not working. If you did your best or if you didn't, whatever the case may be. You have an expectation that's coming, from that company to you. You have also an expectation for them. If those things don't match, it's time for you to make that call. And John, that's the best thing you did. It's like, this is not for me. I'm out. And so
I was very nice about it. And when she heard that I quit, she was very nasty to me, the secretary. And I think they got a little bit like, then they look, because the admin section, she's like, "Well, we can offer you more." I said, "You know what?" I said, "It's not about the money anymore." I said, it's about a principle.
Mm.
Because they had known. I didn't give them like 2 weeks notice. And the reason normally I would always tell people, give people 2 weeks notice or a month notice. The reason I didn't give 2 weeks notice, because I should have done that, is because they were nasty to me. They were abusing me. And this is the last thing I'm going to tell you, and I know we have to run. What made me decide to quit, we ran a lot of schools. So I was at one office and there were 2 other schools that I went between. So it was like main office and then there were 2 schools. So I went down to one of the schools, parked, everything. And normally, let's just say it takes me to get there 15 minutes, okay, and get back. So one time I got back and Mr. Morley, she says, we noticed, where were you? So I was at XYZ school. I came back. Right, but we checked with them and you left that school at 1:15. You should have been back here at 1:30. Where were you? I said, well, to be honest with you, I said, parking took me time. I had to walk down. She said, well, that would only a minute or two. Okay. I went up such and such avenue. I made a right, made a left. I stopped at the traffic light for 30 seconds. She says, you're still 4 minutes short. I understand. I was coming up Clifton Avenue. It was 102 degrees. I didn't stop to take lunch, as you notice. And I went to 7-Eleven to get a bottle of water. Aha! We got you. I got a bottle of water and I came on my way. If you notice that I came in 10 minutes early this morning, right, and that wasn't authorized. So you're still late. And so after that happened, and I told this, I said, I can't work for the Gestapos. So if you're going to be micromanaging every minute of me when I give so much for you, I'm not the kind of person that you deserve.
Well, John, I know we're going to wrap it up, but I think we want to touch on this topic on the next show because what you just covered there is it's a dilemma that actually exists today, and it happens because that's the old way of doing business, where it's not about that's the thing, we're talking about accountability. If people are accountable, you will not worry about when they work, how long they work. It's about what they're going to deliver. It's all about results and about performance. And I don't care what job you're in. I mean, that's all. There are jobs where you have to clock in now because you have certain, you have to be at a desk or something, or a register or on the phone. Those are different jobs.
Their clock was a piece of paper, and there was a Gestapo lady. Oh, John, you didn't sign in. I didn't take my coat off.
Well, that's the old school mentality, and that doesn't work anymore for today's generation or for today's environment. It's changed a lot, and it's just that was the way to do. And frankly, that's probably how she was trained herself, and probably because that's when she started working. That's what was expected of her, and she just basically carried on that torch, and you just happen to be defying that system that she has already been accustomed to, or what she was being directed to actually operate under. So those are the things that sometimes really can make a difference in how you, like, to your point, that was it, I'm out. But if you said they didn't care when you were there 10 minutes early. You started early, so you took a 10 minutes break. I mean, to me, that's not a big deal. But people,
right? Well, they considered that stealing government money.
Oh, okay. You should have clocked, maybe 10 minutes earlier.
That's the point. And then, like I said, I know we have to run, but that's the point. It was that petty mentality that said, you know what? You were meant to have your own company, and you were meant to have a place where you respect and you treat people well. I am very polite to my staff. If people are nasty, I'm like, hey, where are your manners today? Did you leave them in the car? Do you want to go back outside and get them? Maybe come back in, try this again. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah. Why don't you go back to your car? See if you left your manners. I think they're under your front seat. I think I saw them out there. Come on back in and we'll say good morning. How about we try that again? And they're laughing, and they come back. I'm like, hi, good morning. How are you? Great to see you. You got to have a little fun. But we got to say goodbye. I know. It has been great. We even started a little earlier, and we're still getting close to our time. So I am John C. Morley, Sir Entrepreneur. I invite you to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com and catch me on WDLB, Chicago Live Radio, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6:30 a.m. Eastern to 7, and Tuesday and Thursdays, 4:30 to 5:30, and get ready to catch me on my brand new show in New Jersey, which will all be listed on believemeachieve.com. And I'm with my wonderful co-host,
Hurricaneh.
and together we make up that duo of Double Impact.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's been always a pleasure. Thank you so much for interacting with us, and just we love this stuff. We're just sharing some stuff here, and hopefully you'll always benefit from some of it. Again, these are some personal opinions and experiences that we share, but it could apply to a lot.
You will impact, ladies and gentlemen, if you do one thing. If you decide and make the choice now that you want it to make an impact. We make impacts all day long. But until you decide to drink the Kool-Aid that we're sharing here that's fat-free, you're not going to change.
I love it. All right,
and with that, I got to say goodbye.
All right, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.